Before we begin, do me a favor, subscribe, like, and comment now, because once you step into this story, you'll realize how easily evil can hide behind a perfect smile. From the outside, the family looked flawless. A quiet suburban home. Neatly trimmed hedges. Smiling faces in holiday photos shared online. Neighbors described them as polite, deeply involved in their community, the kind of people you trusted without question. Their children waved from the driveway. Their front door was always open to friends, relatives, and church gatherings. Nothing about the place suggested danger. But appearances have a way of lying. It started with a routine investigation that wasn't supposed to lead anywhere. A federal task force tracking illegal digital activity flagged an IP address connected to a used electronics business on the edge of town. The signal was weak at first, buried under layers of encryption, but persistent. It suggested repeated access to deeply illegal material. The kind of content investigators never forget after seeing it once. The address led back to the family. At first, even the agents doubted it. The house didn't match the profile. There were no criminal records. No history of violence. No police calls. Just a well-known family with a carefully crafted public image built on morality, discipline, and values. The kind of image that makes people defend you before the facts are even known. Investigators began quietly. Surveillance. Internet traffic analysis. Financial records. Everything looked normal, almost too normal. But the data didn't lie. Someone inside that house had been accessing and downloading material that crossed every legal and moral boundary. Then came the search warrant. Agents arrived early in the morning, careful not to alert neighbors. Inside, the home was spotless. Family photos lined the walls. Children's artwork hung on the refrigerator. There was no sign of chaos, no hidden rooms, no locked doors. For a moment, it felt like a mistake. Until they reached the office. Behind a desk sat a desktop computer, its hard drive split into multiple hidden partitions. It had been deliberately modified to conceal activity. When forensic specialists began extracting the data, the room fell silent. Folder after folder appeared, buried deep within the system. The file names were coded. The timestamps stretched back years. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't curiosity. This was a pattern. As the evidence loaded onto secured drives, one investigator noticed something that made his stomach drop. The videos weren't just downloaded. Some had metadata suggesting they were viewed repeatedly. Others had been organized, categorized, and saved with care. But the most disturbing detail hadn't surfaced yet. Because when analysts traced the origin of one specific file, they realized it hadn't come from the internet at all. It had been created inside the house. The investigation shifted instantly from suspicion to alarm. If the file had been created inside the house, it meant the danger wasn't distant or anonymous, it was intimate. Close. Embedded in daily life. Investigators widened their scope, pulling devices from every room, laptops, tablets, old phones tucked into drawers, external hard drives hidden behind books. Each item told the same story: careful planning, repeated behavior, and an obsession that had grown more confident over time. The suspect remained calm. Too calm. When questioned, he leaned into the persona everyone knew. Soft-spoken. Polite. Cooperative. He spoke about his family, his faith, his responsibilities. He denied everything without raising his voice. He insisted the evidence was planted, misunderstood, or the result of hackers. And for a moment, some people believed him. That's when the cracks began to show. Digital forensic experts reconstructed timelines from deleted data. They matched file access times with moments when the suspect was known to be alone. Late nights. Early mornings. Hours when the house was quiet. The activity followed a rhythm, almost ritualistic. And then came the pattern that changed everything: access spikes during family gatherings, visits, and events that brought vulnerable people into the home. Investigators interviewed relatives and acquaintances, carefully, gently. Many were defensive at first. Some refused to talk. Others broke down, struggling to reconcile the person they trusted with the evidence on the screen. One former acquaintance mentioned odd rules, unexplained restrictions, and moments that felt wrong in hindsight but had been dismissed at the time. Meanwhile, evidence began to vanish. A laptop once accounted for couldn't be located. A phone was reported lost days before a follow-up search. The suspect's legal team moved fast, challenging warrants, disputing procedures, and attempting to suppress key findings. It became a race between the truth and the clock. Then came the testimony. A digital analyst took the stand and explained how the hidden partitions worked, how the files were organized, how the system had been designed to evade detection. This wasn't reckless behavior. It was methodical. Intentional. Someone who believed they were untouchable. Public opinion fractured overnight. Supporters clung to the family's image. Critics pointed to the evidence piling higher by the day. News cameras gathered outside the house. Neighbors who once waved now closed their blinds. And just when it seemed the case couldn't get darker, prosecutors revealed they had identified multiple devices linked to the same encrypted network, devices not registered to the suspect, but connected through shared access. Meaning he wasn't alone. The question was no longer whether a crime had been committed. It was how deep it went, and who else knew. The courtroom fell silent as the final pieces came together. By now, the case had outgrown the house, the family name, even the town. It had become a mirror, reflecting how easily trust could be weaponized, how reputation could be used as armor. Prosecutors laid out the full timeline, stitching together years of digital footprints, witness statements, and expert testimony. Each detail alone seemed small. Together, they formed a pattern that could no longer be ignored. The defense argued doubt. They pointed to faith, to charity, to a life that looked clean from the outside. But the evidence didn't care about appearances. It spoke in timestamps and encrypted pathways, in files accessed at precise hours, in devices hidden where only someone intimate with the home would think to look. The jury listened as investigators explained how the network expanded, how access wasn't accidental, and how control had been maintained through silence and fear. Then came the voices that changed everything. One by one, witnesses described moments they'd buried for years, things that didn't make sense at the time, rules that felt arbitrary, warnings disguised as guidance. Their words were careful, measured, and devastating. Not because they were loud, but because they were real. The room felt heavier with each account, as if the truth itself had weight. When the verdict was read, it didn't bring relief. It brought stillness. Outside, cameras flashed. Headlines spread across the world in minutes. Support collapsed. Apologies were issued. Statements were rewritten. But none of it could undo what had already happened. The family image that once felt unbreakable had shattered, not from the outside, but from within. Sentencing closed one chapter, but it didn't end the story. Investigators confirmed that the network uncovered in the case led to further inquiries elsewhere, other locations, other devices, other names. Some investigations stalled. Others remained sealed. The public would never know how many questions were answered quietly, without headlines or closure. Years later, the house still stands. From the street, it looks ordinary. Neighbors pass by without stopping. Children ride bikes down the sidewalk. Life moves forward, as it always does. But those who know the story understand something chilling. The most dangerous secrets don't hide in dark alleys or abandoned places. They hide in plain sight. And if this story left you unsettled, good. It means you were paying attention. Because the next case, one that begins with trust and ends in truth, is already waiting.